All right. Hello and welcome to the virtual tour discussion of my book titled Of Missed Opportunities One Too Many. Um, I am Dr. Smriti Pahwa, academically a doctorate in nutrition with a degree in education as well as management. My book is a collation of insights from last 2 decades of my engagement with social impact landscape as a researcher, policy advocate, practitioner, and more. In the last 2 decades, I've held diverse portfolios with Indian Council of Medical Research, Directorate of Education, IGNU, Asser Center of Pratham, Evidence Action, IntraHealth International, Arogya World, World Bank, as well as various MSME enterprises involved in CSR evaluations, MLE, EduTech, Health Tech, Sociotech systems, basically. And during the course of these professional assignments, in addition to learnings from work at hand, I've picked up pearls of wisdom from experts from various institutes and organizations such as IFS UK, Yale, SEPA, Columbia University, NYC, UPenn, Harvard, ICDDRB, Bangladesh, Dubai Cares, Gates Foundation, Johns Hopkins, Bloomberg School of Public Health, William and Flora Hewlett Foundation, Ford School of Management, MX, IICA, HCL Foundation, IFPRI, IIT Gandhinagar, SNDT, JPAL, IFMR, 3IE, Nutrition International, Ecumen, Lady Irwin College, UNICEF, and more. So the book really, brings experiences from all these logical perspectives through diverse lenses and landscapes. And in this journey, I found a value in something that I now call in the book MOC, mindset, which is missed opportunities cognizant mindset. Now, this mindset really helped me unveil possibilities, missed opportunities for social impact that often lay dormant, really, and hidden in plain sight. The case studies presented in the book essentially describe answers to questions such as what could be embedded in a skilling program, what could be embedded in a self-help group program, how preschool curriculum could have been or could be enriched for more than stimulation, what more can schools, colleges do, how fellowship experiences can be used to do more, how accelerators, incubators can play a larger role in building cohesive action missions initiatives. So there are case studies, true stories really of what I like to call innovations that I have personally led and have been associated with while engaging with a variety of stakeholders and scenarios, and should be relevant to NGOs, schools, preschools, early years initiatives, curriculum, funding ecosystem, philanthropists, HNIs, CSR, and overall sustainability. The MOC mindset, the central ideology of the book, looks at social impact landscape as a whole through a human development SDG perspective to potentially build cost effective, high ROI designs for maximum wider social impact. So hence, of missed opportunities one too many is thus a tale of such missed opportunities identified to potentially help enrich social impact missions innovatively through lean resource investment models for cumulative impact by looking at all these opportunities to do more, be more, achieve more. So I'm so happy, Abhishek, that you could make time for this and join in. And you have had front row seat to the sustainability landscape. So today, when you talk about all this, I would really would like to listen to you to learn from your experiences and insights along your journey, and also more importantly, the potential importance for collaborations, partnerships, especially today in this adverse time that COVID has unleashed on us. So if you could, Abhishek, start with, introducing your journey, introducing yourself and the sustainability front row seat, like I say, you have, and just share your insights around the opportunities that exist and that are available for us as social impact stakeholders to identify and explore together. So over to you, Abhishek.
Thank you, Dr. Smriti, for this brief on the book, and also in terms of how sustainability and the CSR is the need of the hour. If you look at currently, this is a very a time to test, how much social development work corporates, individual philanthropists, and foundations can do it in this time of COVID-19. Um, and as you rightly said, that this collaboration and partnership is going to be the most important facets of the current engagement. So it because the the needs are at all time high, and there's a decline on the supply side. So this is the time where collaboration and partnership will play a huge role because most of the you know community, if you look at our the needy community, the scale and the size is what we are supporting, and especially the frontline workers, the government, the non-profit ecosystem has to be uh, teamed up, has to be collaborate with them more to come up with the solutions which are one side cost efficient and heavy on the impact side. That is a very crucial for now, because and also we need to prioritize that which are the areas you want to kind of intervene, right? In a normal scenario, you do multiple initiatives on the social community outreach front, but in this time you have to prioritize that, hey, these are the areas you want to focus on. It could be nutrition, it could be food supply, it could be you know the whole hygiene and the health care factors, right? It could be digital education, because if you look at education is school education is not going to happen, and how the government school children will continue to learn better in this scenario. So I think the companies have to, or the individual philanthropists and foundation has to focus more on these priority areas, and work out with the with the non-profit sector, that how they can collaborate, work out a new model where the impact is higher, and then with the resource crunch, what we see in terms of human resource on the ground, could be financial resource, is kind of mitigated. So these are my initial thoughts would be on the collaboration and partnership. And I can take the next questions you had, Dr.
Sure.
Smriti.
Sure. So Abhishek, two things that kind of jumped out to me in your narrative. One is obviously the CSR scenario, which is very peculiar and actually I should say almost unique to India. Because the scenario now with COVID, the problem and the adversity is multidimensional. So we and also the time frame is also going to be variable. The time frame of impact, right? There would be direct and indirect impact. There have been talks on immediate, and long term impact on economies, on various basically facets. And there has been, obviously, like you rightly said, a need to come together, need for initiatives at individual level, societal level, government level, to kind of come together. Now let me just kind of want to kind of have a follow-up discussion and maybe reflections from you. See, CSR scenario in government in India is very unique with the legislation that we have, right? And the schedule activities that are put there, they kind of cover the sustainability or the development spectrum per se. And while various corporates have had their thematic areas or their thrust areas or interest areas or need areas. But now when the need is kind of obviously there is a need to address the COVID and the fallout, but then making these initiatives richer, like you said, whether we are deputing x number of resources to kind of to get the maximum impact from there. Do you think it is I mean the time is so that this need for intelligent designing of the initiatives has even more, I mean has come up even more, so as to kind of break out of our thematic areas and kind of, you know, work across sectors or across the activity domains to kind of have a cumulative kind of package. So I mean, would you like to reflect upon this, the order of business earlier and the order of business now, the constitution of the initiatives that you see, especially in terms of the COVID scenario?
Yeah, I think it's a very good question, Dr. Smriti. So I think, if you look at the current needs, right? I mean, um, people who are from the labor and the migrant community, right? Obviously, there is a lot of distress in the MSME sector, and millions of people, millions of workers either have hard time in terms of their incomes, and they're living in different places and they have to pay rent and other high expenses in the running the city. I think it's a time for us to kind of see that what are the priorities we want to focus on, right? um, while we continue supporting livelihood skill programs, we also need to see that that hey, these workers. So that's why we say the employee care and CSR both has to go hand in hand, right? So if you're employing, let's say, a maid or driver, or if you're employing any services from in your organizations, how can we help them in these times, right? Obviously, it's not a normal time where everything has to be normal, but in the new normal, what is we can do and strike a balance between the people who work for you and the people whom you care in the community, both of them, right? Also, mask, hygiene, health is going to be the top of the agenda, right? um, as I said, right, these are the areas of wash is going to be again a very, very big focus area, right? So how do we collaborate on some of these with the local authorities to make it more effective, right? And the use of some of these things also important. Also, this is a time when a lot of skills are available, right? So many of us can volunteer our time to these non-profits to design a program which is more cost effective, more impact oriented, or you want to train and skill people on in this time digitally, where a lot of there's a lot of resourceful people like yourself can help them to kind of train them, right? So I think this is an opportunity for all of us to help in non-profits capacity building, and also a non-profit should also come forward to accept the new norm, and enhance their operations effectiveness, their staff trainings, and prepare them well for the future, right? So those are the other areas also they should look at this point of time, right? How do we do digital volunteering for employees is a very critical to engage people, and that's how we are looking at, like, how digitally employees can contribute, how they can be stay relevant, and with the volunteering and the community focus they have, and also the community also feel that we are in touch with them, we're engaging them, especially millions of students who study in the government school may not have digital infrastructure, may not have internet connectivity all the time. So how do we kind of help them in this point of time with new models? I think that will be very, very important at this point of time. Yeah, over to you.
Yeah, no, thank you for bringing all these nuances out, Abhishek. To be very honest, while I was, this book is basically, the insights that I had from last 20 years, right? And to be very honest, while I was articulating all this in a fashion that it, kind of, while I was organizing all these learnings, stakeholder wise and, operative landscape wise, and this ideology of missed opportunities, cognizant mindset, as I kind of put that in articulation, and when and the landscape just changed overnight with COVID. So I think, uh, personally, what I feel, obviously from the lens that I wrote the book, and I kind of looked at the social impact, engaged with the landscape in the last 20 years, is that, there are opportunities of doing more, of doing, while your mission might be, or your core area of focus might be something, but there are always unmet needs that are available, that are present there, to whichever target group, whichever geography, locale the mission is serving. And then there are opportunities to enrich. And to be very honest, with the landscape that COVID that changed, this need for organizations to pivot, to address the COVID need, to address the, the fallout from COVID, became so high that, organically there have been organizations which have pivoted, and there has to be a need for all of us to pivot, to address that need, and hence to see the opportunities that might have existed, but then we, because of the traditional way of working, or the traditional way of engaging with landscape, with social impact landscape, has been particular missions. Now all these particular missions have to be responsive to the COVID need, whichever need that might be. And that need also can be multidimensional, like you said, for the need for digitization, the need for, the education, how to continue the learning. From the nutrition lens that I see, there is this huge need to continue the nutrition engagement with the community, the breastfeeding, the Poshan Abhiyan messages and all that, so how these opportunities, we are forced to now look at these opportunities within various missions, to kind of have a all hands on deck kind of approach, to say, this has to be done. And also somewhere, this kind of, I mean, this is my from where I see it, and good to kind of have that reassurance from you, that, it is kind of telling us to look at the development, look at the human development spectrum, the SDG spectrum as a whole, and to see, okay, if I'm doing this, what are the other opportunities that might be available to enrich the mission, like you very rightly said, to build the cost effective, high ROI models. So I'm so glad that, this perspective is becoming relevant, has been there, but it is now everybody, now we are forced to, kind of come together and to seek out these collaborations. So Abhishek, as kind of to wind up this discussion with you, I know you have to, you must be having more engagements, but before signing off, I was wondering if you would want to talk about the work that as your, in your capacity, that you have been able to kind of, or the initiatives that you would know of, that are bringing people together. I did remember us chatting about platforms on SHM or others. So if you would want to, kind of highlight some initiatives that are being put and put in place now, that are bringing stakeholders together for COVID. And I do hope that they kind of remain. I mean, this new normal becomes just not the normal while we are fighting the adversity, but it kind of becomes a normal to come together as development stakeholders to address the problems as a whole. So do you want to talk about some initiatives before we wrap this up?
Yeah, sure, Smriti. So if you look at, let me also give a perspective. So, I think one of the good things of the COVID-19 happen is also in terms of the environment. So you have heard stories from Punjab, from Uttar Pradesh and Bihar, where they could see the Himalayas mountain range from 200 kilometers after decades, and right. So there are pictures of how Delhi used to be earlier, the Delhi skies, and how they look now, and that's a case in most of the countries in the elsewhere also, right? So I think the good part is that the environment has kind of taken action on their own when there is a lockdown. It also gives us a good sign that, hey, if we can continue this, if we can if we can live with less of pollution and less of carbon emissions, we can sustain this for a longer time, and we are seeing that happening, right? So there's a no myth about environmental changes and the correlation with the emissions and the carbon emissions in particular. So I think that is going to, we don't have to leave that even after the post-COVID-19 situation. We have to continue working on it, and actually should talk more about it. That would be my first, suggestions to the audience. The second thing, as you rightly said, that that what are the things which we can doing, and what I am currently involved in various platforms and organizations which I'm work with. Right. So the food donation is the most important, which I feel is has to continue for a longer, because people who do not have a livelihood or sustainable income, they will require support in terms of groceries and food supply. So I think in whatever capacity, wherever we are, we have to continue that for a longer period. The second thing, as I said, that this is a time for a skill. You know, is skill is your cash. That's how I look at it. Either you enhance your own skills, or you donate your skills to people who can get benefited. Because while we have to look at the short term, we also need to prepare the community for the long term. And in order to prepare long term goals, we also need to have, this time is a great time for us to kind of upskill, reskills, etc. And all of us who has some skills to donate should come forward, and a skill-based volunteering, skill-based program is a need of the hour for the community for a long-term capacity building. NGOs can benefit as well. The third thing which I say that, which I'm currently looking at, is like creating this hybrid model of educations, where currently we have more digital, and then whenever that's a possibility, we bring the physical element. So the learning for students and teachers, especially in the government schools, public schools, doesn't stop in this point of time, and we are working on ways and means to do that. The fourth point, which we like to talk about, is nutrition plays a long role in the community development. So I think from the SHM, they are working on projects on the SHM Karnataka per se. They to kind of nutrition as a theme for the building immunity through that, and etc., which will help again for the larger healthier community. The other areas, I think, as I mentioned earlier, which is a common goal, is that creating a platform where all the stakeholders join hands, be it corporates, be non-profit, be government, be other agencies who are working on this. So I think a platform is what SHM Karnataka is currently working on, to kind of create that ecosystem where the collaboration partnership results to a collective impact and a greater good. So these are the times when we have to be really, really innovative, give time digitally more to people who are needing, and create such programs which create an ecosystem where there is a belief that, hey, we are for the community at large. And wherever there is a there's a gap, or there is a shortcoming, you know there are other players, other like-minded people like you, reach out to them and say that, hey, can you pitch in for this? So I think we have to ask more and more. We have been asking, the community is asking from people like us who can help them, and we in turn need to ask like-minded people more and more, and reach out to them in their needs. So I think that will be my 2 cents on the overall question you asked.
Thank you, Abhishek. No, I think this you very nicely you articulated the what do you call? I mean, you summed up the discussion. I would just want, and I just kind of echo what you just said, was that all of us, the social impact development stakeholder community, so to say, if there was such a community, it is not in isolation. It is now, it is more so that we have kind of to come together, and when we have come together, then to kind of look at this, I mean, changing the mindset to see that what are our collective strengths, which I basically I when I kind of talk about the missed opportunities cognizant mindset, I think that interfaces like these and the environment that has been created now would require all of us to wear those MOC hats and to kind of see, okay, what are our collective strengths and how we can together go forward. And just wanted to kind of highlight what you said was, let's not make it just as an interim kind of a talk or an interim kind of an approach. The good things of the new normals, if the new normal has brought up collaborations and organic collaborations and partnerships and people reaching out together. In fact, the last bit of the book when I was writing, it was around convergence, and when what is new about the mindset, because convergence is talked about, right? But then how I viewed this was that the mindset allows you to converge from inside out and not from outside in, so that people outside or forces outside or ecosystem outside brings you together while you are specialists in your field. But I think now, since the landscape has changed and we have to come together, and there are interfaces more and more that will be available, you mentioned some, and I hope this culture of coming together and culture of seeking out collaborations to address the larger landscape remains. And while we prioritize, we are not just in a knee-jerk reaction of just putting a knee-jerk solution, but also, like you very rightly said, the projects or the agendas that have been there, the problems that have been there, nutrition has been there, livelihood has been there. These problems are not going anywhere. In fact, it is up to the planners, and when I say planning community, all of us together, to kind of see that we do not lose sight of the progress that was made uh, earlier, to kind of just get into this knee-jerk mode. How to strategically, cost effectively plan enriched missions that can make us go stronger and make the community go stronger. So thank you so much, Abhishek, for taking out time. It was fantastic talking to you, and people who have not been able to join, I'm sure will share the recording, so that this kind of echoes the sound of collaborations and the spirit of missed opportunities cognizant mindset. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
It was
Thank you so much, Smriti. And I think I wish you very good luck with the book. And I think this is a right time and very rightly titled, because this is an opportunity. This is the best opportunity for the social sector, the community have. And I think when we look back post COVID-19 situation, we should not be in the thinking that, hey, we missed the opportunity to do something for this community. So very rightly
believe me,
timed this
Abhishek,
book.
the book, when the title was the first thing that came to me a couple of years ago, and yes, the book I shaped now, gave the final push now, but the title really came to me because I saw all these missed opportunities. I wish COVID was not the one when we were talking about the relevance of missed opportunities. I wish it was not upon us, but again, as I said, every adversity has an opportunity. So if this helps us look at these opportunities and the title in that way, I think it's for us to just grow stronger. So thank you so much. With this, I'm going to wrap up this session. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.